Hello, we hope you're doing well. Welcome back to our esports news episode. We hope you guys all enjoy a little bit of a revamp around here as well as we change some things up and some bigger changes coming soon to the channel, which we hope you guys all enjoy. But as always, let's get into it. But first off, in very big CSGO news out there, we actually had announcements last week from Zeus. Apparently, some big things coming to CSGO. He came out with an interview. All the stuff you guys need to read through will be linked down below as well. But in this interview, Zeus actually says on his channel sometime soon, he'll release his own interview, which actually gives some special information to the future of CSGO. Now, also part of this, the only knowledge we have so far is apparently a rumor out there said there was a competing game out there, a competing FPS game to, of course, compete with CSGO that apparently is going to come out very soon. So that does not mean Sandstorm Insurgency. That doesn't mean probably Call of Duty Blackout, although that could be the FPS game to compete there, although I don't think they're generally considered in the same category, although still FPS games. So it does seem some developer out there is making a game to compete with CSGO. As of right now, rumors point towards maybe a Riot or other big game developers like Tencent. They might be in competition with CSGO and sometime soon releasing a game to compete with it, and that's why this change is coming sometime soon. Now, what that might be, maybe new weapons, new map pools, of course, Source 2, the most common one, maybe a new game mode. We had leaked rumors a while ago about, Survival Island or other, maybe a Battle Royale coming for CSGO. As of right now, we don't know too many details, but apparently big things are coming soon for CSGO. Now, part of those big things as well, of course, you do know the Face It Major does continue tomorrow. At the point of you guys watching this, it probably is Wednesday and Thursday. Playoff matchups do start. So, of course, on screen, I'm going to show you guys my pick'ems over there. I'm not going to try to describe exactly why I chose the teams I did, but a bit of a risky pick, especially when it comes to choosing big over Na'Vi, historically speaking. If you guys are trying to go for your pick'em gold trophies, I would recommend going Na'Vi, and of course, I went the default route of Astralis winning it all. So we're going to see how those playoff pick'ems do work out, guys, but also currently on our Twitter, if you guys want to choose as well, a part of our team is also doing their pick'ems, and you guys can choose their pick'ems for them. Our Twitter is linked down below. You guys can actually vote who we choose through our own personal brackets, but this is my bracket locked in as I do go for that gold trophy, which is probably not going to happen. But also in huge CSGO news announced this morning, guys, we have reconfirmation about the new Vitality roster coming to CSGO. We've had this talked about for many months now, of course. That can be MBK, Apex, RPK, Happy, and ZywOo going to join that new Vitality roster, and it's pretty much slowly being confirmed here, slowly but surely, and that team should be signed by the end of this month, if not by early October. But this also means some big things for other French teams out there. We talk about teams like G2 who didn't struggle at the major. They go to that last best of 3 against FaZe Clan and definitely had a chance to win that series, but still a team who probably struggled and might actually make changes, especially with their owner G2 Ocelot actually tweeting out this morning. It seems that changes are very likely for this lineup. Now, with those two French flags, you might think 2 players being replaced. I myself, when I think about 2 players, I think of Body and Smiths, although Smiths had one of the better majors for himself and definitely a part of this roster, was looking pretty dominant statistically. But on top of that, other questions out there as to who those players might exactly be changing on the roster, and will that be a Scream or a Kiyoshima joining this roster? Again, huge questions going forward. I cannot wait to see which French teams come out of this. I said it before and I'll say it again, guys, this new Vitality roster definitely has potential right away to be the best French team in the scene. Now, also very lastly, we slowly have changes coming soon here for CSGO around this major time, as of course it does end this Sunday. We're going to see some big changes happening with rosters, the first of which will be Gambit. It does seem after ESL New York, it will be Hobbit, their first member on the transfer list. We also talked about this on the channel as well. It's going to be Mo, also probably on the transfer list, leaving that team. It could also be players like Adren, who definitely have offers from other teams out there in the CIS scene. Some big changes coming soon, but stay tuned, guys. Playoffs begin tomorrow. And of course, for Dota 2 news out there, we have the Kuala Lumpur qualifiers continuing with some decent surprises out there. The first of which was not a surprise. Actually, had the South American region guys. Both Pain Gaming rosters have taken their 2 spots out of South America. So some cool news there for that organization. But a huge surprise, not being Virtus Pro going through, but alongside with them is actually Furzy. If you guys watch the qualifiers for the CIS region, it was pretty crazy to see Furzy actually go 0-2 in groups, and then actually through the losers bracket in all best of 3s, they beat Na'Vi, they beat Winstrike, they beat Espada, and finally Team Spirit to actually qualify for their first major. So that was in some stunning news, definitely some overseas news out there. The new squad signed just a couple weeks ago, I believe actually just last week, have now made their first major, the DPC circuit. I cannot wait to see how they do. Really inconsistent throughout group play, but definitely those comebacks against a struggling Na'Vi roster who went 1-2 in groups, and of course losing that first round losers bracket. Definitely some things you want to see improvements on. On top of that as well, we actually had Team Odium also fall in losers bracket eventually. That of course is Lil's team, former Na'Vi guy who who actually formed Team Odium out of spite, it seemed like, with that team name. Also, just barely managing not to qualify as well. So, Furzy, your biggest surprise so far. And of course, speaking of Virtus.pro, the team who went no surprise at all through that first place spot to Kuala Lumpur. They've also announced their brand new coach after letting go of Artstyle. It will be Arzi, actually the former Team Empire coach. Team Empire, of course, they lost General and then Ghostic in a short period of time. They failed to make TI and saw their struggles. So only a coach for about a year long so far. Definitely an interesting pickup for Virtus.pro, as he will be their new coach. But again, some huge things coming, guys. And also, very lastly, we have Duke Complexity actually taking to Twitter with their announcements. Apparently, will be Fear, their stand-in player for the time being for quite a few qualifiers. Actually, about until mid-October is the estimation. He's going to actually fill in the spot for Skem, as apparently they're going to work out Canadian visa issues for about a month or so. They're going to work out those visa issues, and it will be Fear standing in for Team Complexity up until then. And also in big Fortnite news, guys, kind of a semi-update. V5.41 has launched with the Porta Fortress. I think I've seen a mixed result so far about what this is, and I think for the casual player, it's a great thing. I'm really curious to see how competitively how this does work out. Of course, you guys have seen it, probably the big base itself, a lot bigger than a Porta Fort, that being why it's called a Porta Fortress. It also has the bounce pads on the sides, not only to kind of evade, more so not to evade actually people coming in, but also to give you guys an easy way out. Again, not really sure how it's going to affect competitive play. I would almost wish, in my own personal opinion, to actually have this disabled for competitive play, but still another weird update for Epic, not really a huge surprise, but also some overseen updates out there for anyone who uses a controller out there. Some pretty big buffs to anyone who edits on their controllers and their edit builds as well. If you guys have seen the huge time reductions for that, those build edits for controller players, as we've seen a few of these players creep up into the competitive scene as well, this definitely is a buff in their direction, and I cannot wait to see as well how this affects competitive play. But also on top of that, of course, in biggest news, we have to talk about it here. You guys can leave a comment down below what you think about this. It was actually Ninja, the very first ever esports gamer as well as esports athlete, to make the ESPN magazine cover this month, which is of course and huge news out there. There's also of course the typical debate about athlete, are these players who give their time each and every day, 12 hours, 8 to 12 hours a day, actually sitting and playing video games, as compared to athletes out there who are working out and doing other things. Are they actually considered athletes? We also had Ninja I'm not really sure if this was misquoted or not. He actually came out and said this with ESPN as well, saying he can compete 100% in whatever esport he does play. A ballsy statement, but still nonetheless a very cool accomplishment for an esports guy to actually make the ESPN magazine cover for the first time ever. Now, will it be the last time ever? Well, let's hope not. And also very lastly as well, for all of you guys, Fall Skirmish, of course, starts this Friday. We're going to wait for format announcement as well as prize pool announcements, and I cannot wait. This weekend is going to be hectic. And also in very interesting League of Legends news out there, we actually have SKT announcing on Facebook they're looking for new trial players and new players to actually, of course, join that roster. Now, we've seen so much information out there. We've talked about this over several times over this past split. Of course, the struggles of the SKT roster going out the first round wildcard to Gen G was no surprise for anyone. Of course, they had to win the regional qualifier to even have a chance to go at Worlds and actually make that spot. Faker, we saw him on and off with Pyrian throughout the entire split. Definitely a team who struggled. As of right now, no details as to how many players they will replace on that roster. It does seem likely one or two, if more. Well, that's the big question as well. We'll see some here soon. It actually, for all of you guys to want to know how strict Korean League of Legends is, this is very cool news out there. A 10-day application deadline for all of you Korean players who want to try out for the team. On top of that, you must meet some heavy requirements age-wise. You must be 16 to 18 years old, and get this, you must not be born, for all you older viewers out there, you must not be born before 2000 to apply to the team. And that makes me feel so old. So I could never apply to be a Korean League of Legends player for SKT, and most of you guys probably can't either. Again, one more time, you must be 16 to 18 years old, and if you're born before 2000, you're not even eligible to apply to this job, which just goes to show you the level of extremism over there for League of Legends is absolutely insane. So we're going to see who they replace in that roster eventually. On top of that, speaking of Worlds, guys, of course, coming up here in the next few weeks, we have big debate about this. League of Legends announcing, or Riot announcing, their next largest partnership apparently will be with Visa MasterCard. So it's going to be cool to see how large that partnership is if the numbers do come out. And of course, this brings up many debates about, okay, they're bringing in great sponsorships. Finally, it's about time they're making money off Worlds. But on top of that, we've seen the debates about not sending Worlds talent to Worlds until the finals. So the talent actually there for casting and so on and so forth will not actually be at the event over there until the finals do come around. They'll be staged somewhere else at Riot headquarters, which brings a lot of debate. I don't think we'll see how it really affects the logistics of everything. And also big Overwatch news out there. We're going to continue to see roster changes before Season 2 comes up here very soon. And we're going to see changes especially this weekend as well as throughout next week. The first of which, Houston Outlaws, one of the biggest signings so far. They officially signed Dante to the roster from, of course, the San Francisco Shock. And speaking of the Shock, some big changes and stories coming around them. Apparently trying to sign Daffron out of retirement and back into competitive play. Who knows if he's going to play in contender stage or actually come back to the Overwatch League itself. It does seem San Francisco Shock, though, do have interest in acquiring Daffron and back into competitive play himself, which would be very cool to see that short return. On top of that, though, some bigger news out there, as apparently some fake representatives for new teams out there are appearing up and all over the map. So for all of you up-and-coming players out there who are maybe watching this video or just want to know about this news in general, guys, apparently fake representatives for many teams out there are acquiring Discord names and resumes for players and never intend on signing the players whatsoever. The first of which is some rogue representative actually acquiring players' Discords and talking to them via Discord for quite some time, asking for resumes, and then they never represented a single team out there. So it's kind of a weird statement. On top of that, though, in bigger news, it was actually DC's new GM. That's going to be Kate, of course, for that new Overwatch team over there being DC. Apparently this person named Kate is going around as well, representing that team, and on top of that, offering new league spots and actually jobs to players out there as well as coaches. The first of which might have been Harsha. We'll get into that in a second here, and then retracting those offers. So if this is true, will she be fired? If it is true, it does seem like a fireable, of course, offense out there. But again, no further details exactly to what might be going on over there in DC. But apparently, a GM named Kate is actually offering players and coaches roles on the team and then retracting those exact offers. Now, the recent rumors about this and allegations actually point towards Harsha. Speaking of San Francisco Shock, guys, their former analyst, apparently he actually left that role, and alleged rumors out there do say to be the coach of DC. He actually tweeted out that he was looking for coaching roles out there, and allegedly he was offered by this Kate to actually coach that DC team, and then that offer was actually taken back, and he is now off the Shock and still looking for a new team to coach out there. Again, he actually is not taking to Twitter, though, to confirm any of this stuff, which makes it all the more questionable where this rumor did start. We're going to hope to confirm this by Friday or maybe by Monday's episode, guys. But again, some big changes coming for Overwatch teams out there, but do not fall for fake representatives. I don't know where people get the kick out of this kind of stuff, but there are some weird people out there. And very lastly, in Rocket League news out there, it's usually Kartik to tweet out these kind of stats. If you guys want a great guy to follow for Rocket League stats out there very randomly, he tweets out about this kind of stuff all the time, but a little bit of drama out there. And I do want to say I love Rocket League drama because it's not really too harsh of drama compared to other scenes out there. It was actually Kartik who tweeted out this about RLCS, of course, the series between PSG and Flipside Tactics, and apparently it was actually Cuxy and his average score being higher than Yukio as well as Mystic combined. And of course, he did actually, he tagged and apparently got this information from secret member Ty Lacto, even though we'll have a response here in a second, guys, but it was actually Mystic responding to that tweet with this, a little jab there from RLCS players to RLRS players, and actually was Ty Lacto later saying on, he did tell Kartik that he just likes numbers, guys. He didn't actually want to be mentioned by name in this post, and Kartik mentioned him anyway, so a little back and forth about these players. Of course, many of you guys know that Mystic is generally a pretty nice guy, so we'll see how this actually responds, and again, probably going to be the end of that drama, which I do love. Rocket League drama is just a little bit of Twitter bickering. It's nothing too personal, but also on top of that, guys, very, very cool to be announced this coming Monday, guys, a new DLC pack, of course, with Hot Wheels. Going to be the Hot Wheels Rivals Arena going to be released. It does look like a very cool map. We're going to see how that affects all of you guys who do get that DLC, but that will be coming Monday. And as always, we hope you guys all enjoyed this episode of Esports News. If you guys did, feel free to leave a like or a comment down below. We'd love to hear back from you guys, and as always, I'll see you back here Friday with another packed episode, and I'll see you then.